Let me introduce to you all and represent the some, Mr. Armand King. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's up,
What's
bro?
going on with the brother, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm loving the on purpose, man.
Yeah, man, we on purpose,
Hey,
man.
on purpose with a purpose.
Yeah.
You feel me? Being purposeful with our movements, man.
Yeah.
Nothing is by chance. You know what I mean?
Not at all, man.
But yeah, now everything's good, man. Thank you for allowing me and sharing your platform with me for sure.
Yeah,
I
no
appreciate
doubt.
it.
Now, I appreciate you making yourself available. It's been some time since I remember when I first got a bar of you, I was at Alliant, I believe I was at Alliant University. And I was in a community mentoring opportunity that was presented and scholarshiped by Reggie Washington. And yeah, man, I remember him and Arthur, they were presenting on trauma. And, you know, you were one of the individuals that, I don't want to say, I don't think Paving Great Futures had just started. I'm not sure. This was 2017
Right.
or 18. But I know that was my first introduction to you. And I remember, you know what I'm saying, like you had the neon green, you know, shirt on. And, you know, it just brought attention to you in a way that, you know, I wasn't familiar with. I was fresh home from the penitentiary, and I was stepping into believing that I could be a mentor and that I could be an advocate for individuals who were battling with what I battled with at certain ages. And just watching you execute your purpose and standing in what you believed in was possible for, you know, for black men,
Right.
was, you know, it was empowering for me, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, before, you know, we get too deep into things, would you, you know, would you mind just kind of like giving us some origin, some background on you, you know what I'm saying? Like where you know, where you hail from, where you was born, where you was raised, and, you know, wherever that, you know, may lead you, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, we'll kind of let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, that's crazy you bring up that Alliance University thing. That course, we actually helped design that course. We created that course, many meetings, you know. As a kid, I was a kid, man. You know what I mean? And I was actually raised in a really, really well-off neighborhood, Rancho Penasquitos,
Oh,
when
wow.
I was born. My parents were we lived in low-income housing right there, but there's low-income housing in great neighborhoods. A lot of folks don't know that. We go same low-income housing projects they have in the hood, they got them in nice areas too here in San Diego County. They do, but it's not heavily advertised.
Right.
But I really wish people would go, you know, get that.
Seek that out,
Seek
yeah.
that out. So we lived there because my dad worked at Sony, which was in Poway, not too far. And so from 1 year old, from birth till 8, I lived there, went to Los Penasquitos Elementary School. And, you know, and I hold on to that because, like, God been molding me before I knew I was being molded. And I moved at 8 years old. My pops buy a restaurant in San Diego on 32nd and Market, an area called the Coast, where the West Coast Crips area. So we moved right prime time. His restaurant was there, fish restaurant, and my parents get that. But we moved to Spring Valley, and I didn't realize it then, but now doing this work and looking back, I'm like, man, we went from Penasquitos, it's trees and parks and butterflies and bees and like the air is even different, to the concrete, to where no more going to Lucky's or Albertsons, no grocery store, you going to the Horseshoe liquor store to get your bread, your eggs, ride your bike to the liquor store. I'm not knowing, like, at the time, you a kid, you're not really like, ooh, my surroundings changed. But shit changed, you know what I mean? From there,
How old are you at that time?
At that time, like 8, 9 years old. So I'll say all the way up till probably 12. 12 years old is when that house we lived in, we ended up losing it. And, you know, whatever, parents going through whatever they're going through, they've been going through it the whole time, you know what I mean, going through their trials and tribulations with each other. Pop's mom ended up completely splitting. But 12 years old, coming home one day, me and my cousin, mom was taking care of my cousins. Their mom was gone out there in the streets, heavily impacted like a lot of families are. So my mom was taking care of my two girl cousins, and we going to Bell Middle School in Skyline, and walked home one day, big ass padlock on that door. You ain't coming back in here, padlock.
And this is your home?
This is my home. This is my home. All my stuff locked up in there. This is my bedroom, all the shit. That was the shaking point right there. You know what I'm saying? That was the shaking point. From there until high school, homeless. Homeless meaning, and most like homeless don't mean you lived under a bridge necessarily. You downtown Skid Row.
You just saying literally homeless, like
you ain't got no room. You ain't got no key. So we bounced house to house, couch to couch, floor to floor. You know, several different locations, all throughout. You know, mostly the hood in San Diego, from Little Africa to Skyline to East Dago, wherever we could be. It was like the early 90s, 92, 93. And being a gangbanger was the cool thing to do.
Right.
You know, and everybody else, we've got a bunch of homies that's from the neighborhood. They the cool. They're not even necessarily cool. It was just a thing to do.
It was
man.
a thing to do.
It was a thing. There was no other thing to do.
It was the lifestyle.
It was a lifestyle. And then you even think of like the music at that time. You had to be a gangster rapper, bro. Especially California, it was the cool thing. It was promoted to us. It was the culture. And then me, I have hella older cousins. They was all gangbangers. Like my male cousins, they was gangbangers. And so that I say it was my wannabe stages. Cause me and a lot of kids, we weren't monsters.
Right.
It was good kids. Mm-hmm. I was a good kid, but I was reacting from the household situation. Now I'm acting up at school, barely going to school. Middle school had straight F's and D's through the whole. They kept passing me. We was, it was like in my middle school at Bale at the time. It was a war zone. It was like a prison yard in middle school. Every day we had large fights. Every day you weren't going to school, and it was us versus the Asian cats. It was little cliques versus cliques. We had adults coming to this middle school running the playback. There was adults coming from the hood lined up after school. We had middle school. This ain't even high school to fight. Like I ended up multiple fights. I ended up getting kicked out of middle school for a fight. That's when they were like, I never went to class, bro. They like few periods, I'm sitting in the office next to the counselor's door. That was my station. I was just acting bad. Not that I was a bad person, but 12 years old, 13 years old, going through trauma, going through shit. You don't know. You're reacting based off what you're being fed. Not knowing if you're eating, bro.
Right. People say like, there's like like he acting out or she acting out. But in reality, man, a lot of us was reacting out.
Reacting out.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We were reacting outwardly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah, man. And for so long, it's festering inside and we're reacting inwardly.
Right.
Until we get to an opportunity to where we can actually express that outwardly. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I look back now too and I realize just how much our circumstances such as that were just misunderstood. Mm-hmm. And like misidentified and just there, back then there was nothing like there is now to where there was more restorative opportunities.
Oh yeah, no,
everything was punitive.
No existence. You go to jail. It was just like that, man. And by the time my peoples got back on their feet, my mom got back on her feet. I was selling weed at this time already, homeless. I make my own money quickly, becoming a man. All it took was that phone call from Pop saying, hey, I'm not your dad anymore. Okay, cool. Well, now I need to be the man for my household. Then get into the gang. I was a wannabe gangbanger, I say at the time. Affiliated, cool, homies, hanging out, cool. But as soon as I got into high school, I brought it into this high school that I went to, Helix. That was in a whole different Helix
demographic
in a different demographic. But yet, homies from the hood are at this school too. And it was an era of time in San Diego where there was a shift happening right at that moment, and people was merging from gangster to pretty boy, to where it was player. It was like you fly shit. The merger was leaving from where gangs was cool to now being dressing nice and Dockers and Nautica and Tommy Hilfiger. I'm like, what? Polo. And so there was a shift happening with this whole player lifestyle. And I was right in there. And then with that came I call it the click era. I can't wait to produce this and make a docu-series or actual reenactment, a series of what happened. There was hundreds of cliques that broke up in San Diego from Oceanside on down. My dad at one point opened a restaurant, the same restaurant he had here. We had two. One was in Oceanside, one was down here. So I started going back and forth for a minute. It was right outside Camp Pendleton. And there
Was it called the Fish Connection?
It was.
You was right in the neighborhood.
It was.
That was because he was a business partner with my homeboy Sedalia McKnight's father.
Yeah.
His name's Bubba.
But that's my dad's restaurant.
That's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Your Fish
y'all had
Connection.
the African fries.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The African fries. We ain't French.
Them things was good. Yeah, right across from the liquor store in Alberto's, that whole little plaza. That's where we was going to get African food, bean pies. Like, you know, it was a culture shock for us because we was up to that point, it was all Alberto's.
Right.
And whatever we was used to until that actually arrived in Oceanside,
look how
in the
small
valley.
San
I know, that's
Diego
crazy.
is.
When you said that, there was only one,
Yeah.
in the 90s, there was only one fish place that was identified, or what we would call like what you just identified, and it was the Fish Connection, and it was in the neighborhood. That's crazy.
That was me as a kid up there coming back and forth. I had started meeting homies right there that was from Oceanside and shit. And in my mind, I just remember they little swag was they took neckties and they used them as belts, and like they was like they pretty thing. But that's younger than where I'm at, but that's where the restaurant was. Yep, in the 90s, bro. So, you know, we go through the whole pretty boy era, and then the shifts start happening where everybody turned out to the game, and now everybody's back to the cliques. What was happening then, and I bear witness that the cliques, hundreds of cliques, but they were people that would normally have been from the set that was right in those areas. But we didn't know what was happening because I don't think people did like, oh, I don't want to bang no more, but they still that culture of clicking, that the tribal communities, your homies, and riding was still there. But it was a different type of mentality, and we wasn't shooting. We would get down, come back, we might get down again. You might get your ass whooped, and we would still get down. And go to parties, and it was girls, and it was this whole switch up that was happening. Would have been perfect time if people realized it was young people who was raised up under the 80s, seeing the murder, the real chaos that was breaking away from that shit. But that was when the influx of money should have came in, when our elders, had they recognized, and I understand why they didn't too, but had they recognized what was happening, well, they could have infiltrated and helped us to not go back like we end up going back. But what do we have? When we're reaching away from gangs, and I remember homies used to be like, man, gangbanging don't get you no money. Whoop-de-whoop, we was on some players. That was fun. Then here come HBO with the documentary Pimps Up, Hoes Down. Turned our life out. #1 viewed documentary to this day from HBO. So we see this documentary coming home, just finished, smoking a blunt, coming home from high school, and not knowing even mentally, as a black man, you like, growing up, it's like, gangbang, sell drugs. First, it's first. Before it even reaches there, you sports or entertainment.
Or like, they had like break dancing and
some
like
kind of entertainment. Yeah, some kind of that. And after that, then what? Gangbang. Now you got to get money. Gangbang, sell drugs. Okay, pimping wasn't involved yet, but it got there. So our options was slim. We didn't see any other options. People go like, yeah, there's options, the American dream and all this. Yeah, I saw the Cosby Show. It looked real good, but it didn't look like what I was living in. That was like Disneyland. That was the fantasy world. Yeah. You know what I mean? So now enters into, what do we do now? We're getting older. Man, we got back on our feet, but by the time my family was back on our feet, I was in the streets. I didn't go home. I'm living off the homie, my girlfriend at the time. At 9th grade, I'm sleeping at my girlfriend's house, going to school from the homie's house the next morning. I didn't go home. By 17 years old, by junior year, I had my own apartment. Junior year, senior year, I'm paying rent. Me and the homies is paying rent. No kid need to be paying rent. But I had master school, all this shit, and it had merged. Now we needed money, homie. We was on dollars. Fuck that. And it was a major transition through time too, because if you look, even with our music icons, who are really our leaders, the hip hop, those are our leaders. We don't have a Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. We don't have those. We ain't listening to no preacher. We listening to Snoop. We listening to E40. We listening to them very closely, even if we don't realize how much they're controlling our life. Love them to this day. But you look at that shift in this time period, not E40 too, but Snoop went from lowriders and Dickie suits to diamond rings and pressed out hair, coming on stage with girls, bringing out Bishop Don Juan. Everything went to pimping out his mouth. Love you, Snoop. You've been married since 19. You've been rich since you were 19. Gin and Juice Day, you was on already.
Right.
You was a rapper too. In the hood, all the shit. When was you pimping? Why are you pushing that on us now? Okay. 40, love him. He's my uncle. Taught me damn near everything. He taught me more than my dad about life. I love that man. He's been married, college graduate since 19, house on the hill that he designed because he's brilliant. But all of a sudden it went LRPs, long range pimping. He's always talked about it, but at this stage it went pimping.
Global too.
Global. And then we go to bigger name artists nationally, Nelly Pimp Juice. You watch that video, you see every pimp from Pimps Up, Hoes Down. And then the documentary that came right after that was the Hughes Brothers, American Pimp. And then you got Jay-Z with Bun B and Pimp C, big pimping on BLADs. Jay-Z, you ain't never pimped. Why this shift just happened with our music? And then for the West Coast, because it got to a point we weren't listening to nobody outside of Cap. It was West Coast music.
Right.
Thank you, Pac. We ain't listening to nobody else. And then all of our rappers, Messy Marv, Mac Dre, like it was Too Short. Everybody was pimping. And we even said it was like a whole new genre of music. I listen to gangster rap and pimp rap. Yes. So we went naturally into the game at 16 years old. Boys and girls. Wasn't the forced fraud court. Nah, it was my homegirls. It was my cousins. Like if you wasn't getting money that way, you was talked about by other girls. It wasn't cool to have a boyfriend and girlfriend. We would talk shit about you. Both. So we went down that path. Did that for a minute. By high school, by the end of my senior year, been losing hella homies already by this point. 12 years old, I lost my first best friend. He was 13, little Larry, baby Greenwood. He get killed. They say he killed himself. He didn't. With him the day before. My homie, the original little weirdo, Lawrence, my best friend from my clique that we started our clique in the 9th grade. It was 9 of us at one point. Really that clique, Playgirls Fantasy, PGF, that I fast forward later on turned to Paving Great Futures. Turned my clique out into something positive. But it started when I was 15. I've been starting shit. This is not new. But we started that at 15. Lawrence is the first homie that get killed. He was crossed between being from the clique, which you were like, hey, fuck that gangbanging shit. Lawrence, foster youth, been in and out. It's the system his whole life. Hard. 15 years old, challenging and fighting adults, challenging OGs. Like, nigga, this ain't how you ain't running this shit. That ain't how gangsters operate. He would run up on 26, 27-year-olds, checking them because they weren't being real gangsters. And sometimes getting beat up too, but he would challenge them, fight them. 15 years old, Lawrence. We're gonna stay on Lawrence for a second. Lawrence caught a murder beef. Him and some of the homies was robbing the car, and Lawrence, a lot of my homies was involved in Taekwondo. They sharp fighters, like that kind of fighters, Taekwondo skill fighters. And Lawrence was able to maneuver and get a knife that the guy whose car they were jacking was coming at him with a knife. He was able to maneuver, get the knife, stabbed him, killed the dude. Killed this black dude in the hood. We go to court, we're in the courtroom watching Lawrence, and he got a private attorney put on for him. He didn't have the money or nothing, but
How old is at this time?
15.
He's 15.
So he get this private lawyer, Joe Pertel. He's still doing, I just connected with him again, but Joe Pertel, get him off. Self-defense. I remember watching Lawrence do his kicks and stuff in the courtroom, showing how he got the knife. The guy challenged him. Lawrence get off of murder. 15 years old. He back in the hood like a superhero now. Don't nobody want to catch the fade. They're like, you just murdered somebody. You ain't about to fade. So within that year, from 15 to 16 years old, I'm telling you, Lawrence got all kind of T-top Camaros. He's operating like he's 30 years old. A G, he's only 16. He get murdered right in front of Meadowbrook Apartments. They say it was somebody from his hood that killed him. You know, I get the call, I'm laying on my floor in Spring Valley, and I get the call that he's up in front of, laying on the street dead. One of the homies called me, who I fuck with still to this day. He called me and told me Lawrence on the floor dead, got shot up and just got hit by a truck. 16 years old, he had that year. We back and forth like trying to keep him from going in and just rocking with the clique, man. We're on. Like you name a car, we had it. Bentleys, Maseratis, twin Lexuses, Monte Carlos, brand new, Navigators. We 21 homies. Got a condo out in where we should never have been. We should have stayed in the hood, but we wanted to live fly. So we moved out to Sabre Springs, nice ass neighborhood, brand new, 3-bedroom condos, garage, no jobs. Homies ain't going to work in this area where people are looking at us like, what the fuck are you doing here? With canary yellow drop top Mustangs, you name a car, we had it. Because homies is in the game, I'm sending packages. And lived real well for a minute until here come the DA. Like I said, hopping out of every which corner, knew my name. Hey, Mr. King, can you put your hands on your car? Oh, I knew it was coming too, felt it. As I used to went a couple nights before walking into my apartment, I'm looking at the vents, paranoid, flicking them off. Like, y'all watching me. I just knew they was. So anyway, have been watching me for 2 months. I find that out later. So, you know, that first go through the court system, sign away to probation, a strike, a felony strike, 3 years probation, no jail time. Never been in jail before, never got caught for nothing. Sign that away, boom. I still need money. I got bills now. I got more bills then than I got now as a 42-year-old man. You know, and a lifestyle that I gotta upkeep. I wasn't just taking care of me, I'm taking care of other families, households. So fucked around and got back in the game, and 2 months into me, you know, I tried to send another package, got caught up. You know, I don't know what to do. I'm scrambling at this point. So I got back in the game, and I'm in Houston, and get a call saying your probation officer wants to see you. I never met this person. So I come back early to meet my probation officer, and talks to me real quick in this room, real quick. It's like, stay right there. I'll be right back. Okay, let's get this on. I need to get back out here and go get this money. Then here come these suits walk in. It's the feds. They say, basically, we're taking you to jail for conspiracy, you know, RICO. I'm like, that's like, I know, like I'm Mr. Lawyer, that's double jeopardy. You can't do that. I already saw. They're like, no. Different charge. Same crime, but it was organized because you had more than one person in this operation. What? Mind you, 3 people, me and two white boys. I ended up, at the end of the day, I got 3 years in the feds, 3 years probation. One dude got 6 months boot camp, and one got straight probation. Same charge, but they was telling on me, you know, so whatever reason, you see the same charge. I go 3 years stretched out, first time offense, these guys get slapped on the wrist. You know what I mean? But I didn't know I was going through that for who I was to become. Like I said, God's been molding me. I'm like, this is weed. And being from Cali, weed ain't nothing. I got cops giving me back my weed. You know, like, weed?
Yeah.
Are you serious? But yeah, I've been locked up in 9 different institutions across the United States from this one charge, because my case came out of Florida. So just extraditing me from downtown San Diego to Florida. I stayed in Oklahoma, I've been in Tallahassee, Florida, Pensacola, Florida, USP Atlanta, Sheridan, Oregon, Taft in Bakersfield, California, been locked up in San Bernardino, 2 months, 2 weeks, all this shit, like, but experiencing all the county jails, USPs, from the penitentiaries to the lows to the camps. I got a fast forward version of all of it. And I'm like, why? But who knew later on in life, I was gonna have to relate and talk to motherfuckers that been there.
Right.
How you else gonna talk about somebody getting baby oil splashed on their face after being heated up in the microwave and seeing their skin peel? You know, being locked up in a whole dormitory full of snitches, bragging about snitches, beating up people that ain't telling. What? That really exists? I need to learn these things.
Right.
Going to Taft, I remember I went to Taft, man, and God followed me every step of the way. That was one of my Crip homie, his name is Creep from LA. I met him in Bakersfield. I went to Taft, middle of the desert, learned about privatized prisons. It's a private prison, Geo owned it, and it was like this disease that was going on in the air that was killing darker skinned people, and they was rioting. And then when I got there, it was a race riot that was popping off with the blacks and the Mexicans. And I get there, and then another brother from LA was like, he take me to where the pokers was and shit, and like, hey, so first day, this is where our situation is, in case it go down, because we at war right now with the Mexicans. I said, I'm not. I'm not. I'm Mexican and black. Nope. He said, well, you are now. You are now. So it was like a fast forward case. But my homie Creep that was there with me, for whatever reason, he really respected. I was just protected my whole way, and he was there with me. And right after I got transferred to there, because as I'm moving, my custody points, I'm not nowhere long enough to really get in no trouble.
Yeah.
Because I keep moving me.
Right.
And I start over. And I'm the new guy, so it's no pressure. So by the time I actually got sentenced, it came down, my custody points dropped so low, bro, to where now I'm moving into a drug course. I get this program, the RDAP program, and I move up to Sheridan, Oregon. It's like a fucking college university. When they say club fed, that was club fed. There wasn't even no fence around it.
Wow.
It was dormitories, really dormitories. Prison still, but it was lovely. Yeah. And Creep came with me, like it was like God had a soldier angel with me through the remainder of my days. 2 months before I come home from prison from there, my brother, who's been holding me down the whole way, fantastic, holding me down like no other. Money on the books, phone from him. He used to pull up outside the prison when he couldn't come visit me. He'd be parked outside. I could see him from the window like 8 stories up. He just parked there. I talked to him on the phone, run this white paper up and down downtown. He stayed there till he started crying. This is my dude. 2 months before I came home from prison, you know, when you're like in there, like, first thing I'm gonna do when I get out, I'm gonna do this. I could just visualize coming and picking him up, right? And it was like 2 months before I came home, and we had talked on the phone, and he like, bro, why ain't you calling me every day? Like, he want me to call, who wants you to call him every day from prison? Maybe your wife, your girlfriend. He like, bro, ain't you call? I said, man, I'm almost home. I'm almost home. I'm working out, I'm doing things, I'm programming. He like, homie, I put money on your fucking phone, call me. And the next day come around, I walk by the phone, like, man, I'll call him tomorrow. Tomorrow came, walk in the yard, chaplain called me in. Armand, come to the chaplain office. Like, I ain't never been called a chaplain a day in my motherfucking life. In here, like, well, for what? So I walk in, dude like, call your mom, your brother's dead. That's it. I ain't got no brother. What you talking about? You call your mom, your brother's dead. Your brother died. Cold in the motherfucker. I said, call my mom. Crying. Like, what happened? Richard dead. Fuck. 4 kids on a shooting spree. They shot 12 people from here to LA, riding around their parents' SUV. Killed another 16-year-old boy that day. Killed my brother in a brand new 745 BMW driving from a club up here in Linda Vista on the freeway. Caravanning homies, one car with 4 homies. My brother, my other homie YC in the car. Shot YC, shot my brother up. Didn't know him, no altercation, just dumping. Writing raps about the shit. 14, 15, 17, 19 years old. All them kids end up getting 100+ years. They end up getting out when the laws changed later on down the line. One of them got out, killed somebody else within a few weeks. But he had been in for like now 20 years by this point.
Wow. Dang.
So I'll stop there because I know I've been that was the background, and people may ask me, what's the catalyst? They ask me that, what made you change? And it wasn't immediate,
but
man. That blow right there, I've always been sharp. that was like, I'll say was a pivot point of, I don't know what the fuck I'm about to do in my life. You know what I mean? And I remained 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the game and this for a little minute after I came home.
What year was that?
04, 05. I came home, 05. And shit, man, I just really just worried about me. I didn't really mess with the homies no more, was out the way. Started doing things, throwing concerts and reggae concerts and back into cannabis a little bit and restaurants. I really do. What saved me, bro, from really going back to jail is I had a big homie, a square big homie from the hood that's been around me my whole life. Immediately when I came home from jail, he put me in a 5-bedroom house in Dictionary Hill, mine. I had to pay $500 a month for it. He owned it. This is when the house in Boone was. He had that. Bought me a car from the auction so I can get around, and he owned a restaurant, Snappers, on Euclid. Snappers, in the Jacobs Center. He had the restaurant, gave me the management job, running that. You about to be the owner in a few minutes. I'm tired of doing this shit, Armand. I'm glad you home. He put me in position. I ain't have time to do nothing else. Car, house, job. I'm like, oh, that's the recipe. So, did that for a minute. And then with like community activists, youth advocate, nowhere on my mind. 0%, not a thought, nowhere. And one day I'm sitting in one of our second restaurants. You know that fish concept, your fish connection is a Southeast tradition. It's changed face 12 times. It still exists today in Vegas. It's called Catchers, same recipe. It's my young homie out there with that. But it's been so many, what you experienced, the fry, the everything. I could name 12 restaurants in the hood that we've always rebranded and did it.
Yeah.
So we had Snappers. Now it's Catchers. With the organization, I have Flippers. Same shit though. But one day I'm sitting in my restaurant, Snappers, and I had my cousin and one of my little homies from my hood, 211. They working for me, like just learning job skills. So I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just wanted to help them. They weren't getting no money, but they were working for me. And one day, one of my little generals, fantastic little cousin, Richard's little cousin that was killed, he come to me and he like, bro, you got, like, I don't remember how the conversation went, but basically he told me our clique we started as kids still existed. Mind you, I didn't know none of these little dudes. Not affiliated with them, don't talk to them. Got our little family members, and I knew they kind of started a little clique after us with our name, but it was nothing. And I'm grown. And he's like, nah, bro, there's a lot of young homies from your hood. I'm like, bring them to me. Yeah, right. Bring them. So he brought them. And like 30 young homies pulled up. Man, I told you it was like 8 of us. They filled my restaurant up. I closed that door down. I'm looking at them. They over here. And they all know who I am because they've been looking up to me.
Right.
They was the little homies in the neighborhood, the 10-year-olds, all this shit, the little brother of the girl we was messing with, whatever. And we 15, 16, we ain't paying this kid no attention. But he paying us all the attention. Right. Growing up fatherless, growing up all that, and patterning their life after us, all the wrong things. So I'm like, bruh. And that's when God, I feel like, they say like God take the wheel. God didn't take the wheel. He kidnapped me, threw me in the back seat, because this wasn't my plan at all. I want to help, but you about to for the next decade of your life, plus. And it started because I wanted to help my homies. And I could see the government ain't coming to help us, the city, the county, what organization. There was no help for the homies in the hood. 0. And when I looked at these young homies in front of me, literally, I saw Lawrence. I saw Richard. I saw the countless other homies that had been murdered. Somebody got to fucking help them. Something. I didn't know what the hell to do. I didn't know what a nonprofit was. I didn't know what a 501, help them. Yeah. So I started meetings, made these like video, I forgot who it was. Russell Simmons has this motivational DVD. I burnt DVDs for everybody, or these, like, come on, we gonna come together, we gonna make this happen, we gonna do this. And it basically just started snowballing after, like as I went down this path to help my homies, it started spreading to not just them. It ended up being, out of 8 of us, my homies about 200 plus deep, all throughout East County, Southeast San Diego. Now they all over the country, but young homies that followed in our footsteps. And I thought, you know, like back again, always been sharp. I'm like, man, this is how the Bloods and the Crips started. Like, regardless of, let's take away the shooting, the turf wars, the death, all this stuff. Do you know the Bloods and the Crips is the longest lasting and the largest impactful black organizations in the world? There's Bloods and Crips in Africa. There's Bloods and Crips in Japan right now. That started from a little homie's mind in the hood. And it didn't even start off as you know,
right.
It started off protecting the hood.
Right.
It was damaged by outside influences, thank you CIA. And it turned into that with crack cocaine and guns magically coming in the hood. Killing all the elders that was giving the game and empowerment, locking them up. It was done to us, but it's here, right? But the Bloods and the Crips didn't start like that. An idea comes from one mind. You tell me, hey, bro, oh yeah. And now those two go, it's still here years later. That's power.
Right.
Misdirected power, but it's power. And I'm like, okay, that same spirit, that same knowledge and go-to and that connection thing, if we twist it to something positive and make positivity the new cool, not no weak shit, because the homies, they need something. Of substance. And I'm not even anti-gang, bro. I am not man, I'm from where I'm from to this day.
Yeah.
And I want to be. When I see my homies today, we shake our hand a certain way. And I probably always will. There's nothing wrong with being from where you're from, loving your community, loving your tribe. It's when it gets to, now I don't like you who look like me because you're from a different street, different neighborhood, different crew, and now we're enemies. That's idiotic. That's where there's a problem. Love where you're from. So yeah. So anyway, that's the organization started from there at that point, and I just start creating programs using that first restaurant concept to do catering, because that's what helped me, being involved in restaurants.
Right.
So and it was an easy way to get people jobs. You know what I mean? So it grew from there, bro. And here we are, 13 years later. You know, that was a first phase. Now I'm on something else.
Yeah.
But it worked.
It's interesting, man, to hear you. Man, first of all, like, before I even go into that, like, you know, it's miraculous, you know what I'm saying, to be sitting across from you and you to be able to, like, recollect and express everything that you just expressed in a way that not only is convicting and captivating, but it's galvanizing in a way. It expresses the reality of, like, what's been going on since the late mid-70s, early 80s in particular, you know, communities. But, like, I'm sure whoever is able to kind of, like, tap into what's being expressed here today, no matter what age, there's the spirit of what you're talking about is very much what's the word I'm looking for? It is very much, like, relatable. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I couldn't help but to, like, that's why I was so quiet. I'm just listening to you share, and it's just so many. If I didn't have the healing that I have, a lot of what you were sharing, I could be triggered. You know, I could have been triggered by, just because of what I've experienced. I'm
triggering myself right now, sitting here talking to you.
That's what I'm saying.
If you could see what's going on inside of me right now,
that's
bro.
What I'm saying. That's why it's miraculous to even be able to communicate what you're communicating, the way that you're communicating it, from your earliest of your origin to the deaths that you've experienced, to the incarcerated realities that you've experienced, and everything in between that time wouldn't permit you to be able to share right now. Right. Neither emotional composure. Right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, thank you, you know what I'm saying, for that context. because I think it's going to make everything concerning where you're at today, who you're connected with, who you're empowering, what you're establishing, and what you're making and helping individuals such as myself to understand is possible and what we're capable of, with not, some people just wish that everything that they've experienced was erased,
Right.
and that they can just move forward without having to have that in their hard drive.
Right.
But the reality of what you shared, a portion of the way through your context, is that, man, God allowed everything to happen, particularly for you, particularly the way that it happened, so that he can position you to and leverage your lived experience to be a catalyst for others. You know what I'm saying? To prevent, other young men to potentially become a casualty, or to potentially become a barcode. You know what I'm saying? In a justice system, but kind of transitioning. I wanted to ask you, just to make sure I stay on track. I wanted to ask you about educationally. Did you have to, in order for you to be able to operate in the circles and in the network that you're operating in today, did you have to pursue, or did you have to go to school to accomplish psychological, sociological, any type of education to give you the confidence to operate in these spaces? Or are you solely led by your lived experience and your ambition and passion?
Good question. With me, when it comes to education, I'm constantly educating and being educated. There's a difference between education and the school system. I graduated high school. I'll say in San Diego Unified, I graduated high school. I've been to 4 high schools here in San Diego Unified, Grossmont District 2. But I stopped learning in the 6th grade. That's the last time I can go back to they taught me something. From the 6th grade on, all lived experience, knowledge, and just going through different things and picking up shit. I tried to go to community college a couple times to take art or something like that. Speaking, I might have took 4 classes. But everything that I'm doing, besides the basics that I was, mathematics, writing, reading, that the school, and even my mom added. I don't even give them all the credit. Mom did that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But nah, most of me comes from being able to operate in these circles. You name it, as far as a board and commission from the city to the state, bringing hundreds of, I just told the homie the story today when I did a speech for, the homegirl Ebony Jones. She got double booked one day. She switched up with me or brought me on to do a conference here in San Diego with all of the probation heads from all the state of California came down here. And it was my turn. And I didn't know, I was like, how am I about to go talk to these people? Room full of police. Reggie was in the building that day too. I think Arturo too. And I know I looked on YouTube of great speeches, and this dude had won an award for the best speech of the year. And what he did was he came out on stage, audience waiting on him, he's quiet, goes in his pocket to pull out a cigarette to light it. You ain't supposed to smoke inside on stage. That was people got your attention. They was teaching the lesson grab attention immediately. Within the first 3 seconds, it's like a recipe for success. So I'm like, I pick up game fast. I'm like, okay, now let me 10x that. And I think you've seen a version of that later.
I've seen 3 versions of it.
So oh man.
Every time I've seen you present, I've seen 3. I've seen you actually, I've seen that in action.
So the probation one, man, I said, okay. I grabbed a football, went to Walmart, bought a football. got a red rag, and I got a baking soda sack of look like dope. And I had my suit on crispy, and I put the rag, I put the baking soda in one pocket, but I had the football, and I'm just spinning it, walking through the crowd, talking to people, but spinning football. Ain't nobody spinning no footballs in this room or nothing like that.
And the whole time they wondering like,
what the fuck is he doing? And then I get up on stage, Reggie. I'm like, I ask everybody, I get them engaged. Who like football in here? You know, everybody, people, okay, hey, catch this, throw it to Reg. He catch it. All right, I'm like, cool. Pull the red rag out of my pocket. And I put it on the podium. Mind you, on the stage, there's a long table on the stage with me. Mm-hmm. DA, chief of probation, all these people, like 6, 7 people lined up of that caliber there.
Yeah.
So red rag on the podium. They're like, what the fuck? They ain't never had nobody come speak to them like this. I take the dope sack out, room full of police, and I throw it to the table. I think it's Adolfo Gonzalez at the time.
He was chief of probation?
He was chief of probation. Yeah. I throw it to him on the table. He go, I don't want that. Homie, the whole room is all eyes. They want to know what the fuck is going on. Yeah. And I just go into it, man. As a young kid, growing up in the hood, I had 3 options. Sell drugs, sports, or gangbang. Oh, that's what he's here to talk about. Mm-hmm. Boom! From that day, you know, and then really articulating my words in the room, it's 500 people in here, police. I get picked up by a lady who ran the Board of State of Community Corrections for the state of California, and a committee that's designing a grant program for community programs, grassroots community programs. And I go in there and I turn them out from what they was doing. Oh, no. Don't have it being reimbursement. That's how you keep these folks out, because we can't do reimbursements. Mm-mm. Change that. Senators in here. Oh, we've never done that before, but yeah. So they flipped that. You know how many people in San Diego groups, Toro benefited off of that. Right. Multiple people benefited off of that.
And you can't teach, like you can't. Those are the types of, you know, that's why I'm glad I asked that question, because those are the types of things I think people need to understand, like why it's necessary for lived experience individuals to have an opportunity to be in the space, or why you need to embrace the courage to be able to step into these spaces and authentically be you. Yep, authentically operate in your lived experience, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to really like break the barrier or the callousness in some of these individuals, you know, hearts, or some of their stereotypes. Just like that. And you can't teach that.
You can't.
You have to, you might be able to grab that from a particular individual that's teaching how to grab the attention, but once you actually harness that and you collaborate that with your lived experience,
it's over with. So I'm a firm believer in transferable skills. Right now, right before I came to meet with you right now, I'm with one of my sharpest day one homies right now. His vernacular is spectacular. He's vicious. How do you speak in front of all those people? I think I would be nervous. And he's a million times better than me at speaking and getting to people. He is. He's very unique. Not all the homies, he is. And I'm telling them like what it is for me, because I don't really have fear getting in front of folks, but it's because it's not all the way solid, but it's been stronger over the years. It's because I just believe in the lived experience so much, and I'm my authentic self. Yeah. And that could be my authentic self. I may be talking more like the homie with you right now, where I might code switch a little bit depending on this different audience, but that's what you did when you were out in the streets and in the game. You didn't talk the same way to your grandma you talk to the homies, the police the same with your probation officer. Homie, you know how to do this shit. Yeah. You gain these skills. So once you really tap in, and it's a believing in yourself that I can do more than what my surrounding, I can use this. We used to practice our mouthpiece on purpose. We used to do this shit. I'm like, oh, it's the same thing. I tell the homie, rest in peace, Mac on. I'll be like, same tools, different program. You got it? But he didn't back home. He didn't believe in himself. Kenny McKnight, one of my day one, he didn't believe in himself. But he's vicious. Wasn't the best looking guy in the world, but got more girls than all of us. Because he practiced same tools, different program. Use these skills. I know a lot of people that grew up in these streets, they're actually sharper than a lot of college graduates, but don't understand it. But once you realize it, and the people that I know realized it, and they tapped into that, they kill shit. They do great shit. Chef Jeff out there in Vegas.
Yeah, that was one of the first books I read when I caught my last term.
100%. Chef Jeff, as an example, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's the same skills you gain in these streets. You gain, it's a lot. We have a lot of brilliance in the hood, and unfortunately, it's laying in the cemetery or in a jail cell. There's scholars. We have scholars from the hood that are imprisoned right now. You know what I mean? And the other ones that are outside but are imprisoned in the hood that think they can't do nothing else because that's all they've been taught is that they can't do nothing else.
Right. I think it's a lot of individuals, no digs to individuals who are seeking a career in as a probation officer, as a social worker, as a law enforcement officer, as like in any of the opportunities that are available for individuals to step in and be of service to the community and help to stop crime or to counsel where counsel is needed. And the only way that individuals feel that it can be done right is through the proper education or a certain degree. I think like we're in that time, man, where like, that's what I love about what, I mean, when I first heard Reggie, I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. I first heard Reggie say like, the goal is to professionalize our lived experience. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I never heard that. Like, it's crazy when you get clarity, when you really grow up and you're not foggy, and your mind isn't distorted by the reality by what you believe reality to be, or what you believe the truth to be, as far as like, I gotta always watch my back. Somebody still wants to probably kill me from something that happened in the 90s or the 2000s. And it's just like, police hate me. They want to see me locked up. Like, I had to get away from that thought life in order for me to really feel comfortable when I came home. It didn't happen till I came home, but it was like hearing words put together like that, or the concept of like being utilized in my neighborhood as something more than just a big brother or a mentor, but then just connecting like a reality of it being professionalized and it actually becoming a career that can grow into something else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You really only thought like, I really only thought like it could potentially only happen if you're educated enough. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing like the education, the most important education was that which had been lived. You know what I'm saying? And I had already possessed it. Or like seeing individuals like yourself get up there and execute, helped me to believe more about like, I don't necessarily have to go to school. Like, this is school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is the university. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I believe it's important for individuals to understand, like, I got a homie that just came home, you know what I'm saying, after 30 years, you know what I'm saying? I got a homie that's coming home after 30 years on Tuesday, but I got an individual that just came home after doing 28 years. And, fresh out of the penitentiary, you know what I'm saying? Not 3 months removed, and he's already in the position of mentoring, youth, having an opportunity to go back into facilities. And I'm just like, man, the courage to be able to step into that while still transitioning into like life. Right. And not being, he was in school. His first month, he was going to college, right. But he was like, I can't, like it was messing with his confidence and identity, because it's like, and he just pretty much, he made a post and was like, bro, I'm like, I appreciate everybody that gave me the opportunity, but my passion is like to lead these kids. And I've been given an opportunity to do that without having to lock in a degree. I mean, he has an AA, but like a bachelor's and going after his master's and his doctorate, he was just like, man, let me lock this in. And he didn't need like his belief system about college. Not to say that it's not necessary, but it kind of like, he was given an opportunity to step, you know what I'm saying?
And,
like,
bro, and like everybody has their own path. And my path is just that, you know, and the way I went it. I wish if I had time, I think school is good.
Yeah.
Like that education, always. But education isn't necessarily, I gotta go to school. You can educate yourself,
Right.
but always continue to educate.
right.
Forever. Always be the student. But I'm thinking about my homie, DeAndre Brooks, now the chair of the San Diego Gang Prevention Intervention Commission. You know what I mean? Served his 9-10 years in prison, came home, City College, Project Rebound, San Diego State, still going to school, sharp, still connected to the hood, you know, and there's so much benefits, whatever. But so like everybody's path, and if like your bro, he got in there, and he might go back later
He
or
will.
not.
He
You
will.
know? Oh yeah.
Right.
But right now he's like, my passion and where he's being guided to is just go do the work.
Right.
So yeah, like man, I can't put this what I did exactly. Like everybody has their version of it. My dude Jonas right now, killing it, doing, you know, naturally gifted, been there, done that, true lived experience, you know, author now and doing his thing and considering going back to school to get sharper in different angles. Yeah, so I mean, everybody got their own path.
Right,
you feel me?
and the point was just to highlight the reality of like, you hear a lot of, and you see promoted a lot of how education is necessary in order for you to be, or it's honored, you know, more so. But I think that's the unique thing about your experience and you actually sharing it with us, is that like, it's not something that you felt you needed to like prioritize in order for you to actually get to where you're at today. Like, you allowed yourself to embrace the reality of, you know, the education that your lived experience had already established within you to be brought out, you know, and exercised.
Absolutely.
And so I wanna transition from there into raised in Pimp City.
The game, the lifestyle, pimping and prostitution, the subculture hit all over our community, all over San Diego, from Oceanside on down. Because I spent plenty of time out there on the 1st and 15th. All over the country, it hit like a wave in the hoods, in the communities across the country at that point. So when it came time for me starting the organization and helping people in the hood, I never thought of like helping people that were involved in the game or it was like gangs, drugs, pimping, prostitution. It was all those things, drugs, guns. I was just helping our folks because we were influenced by all of those things. I never categorized it. It was just help the hood. And I started this in 2010. By 2014, really started in 2013, and they hit Oceanside with an indictment involving trafficking. And I was like, what interesting. Trafficking. I didn't even register with the word. Then it's moved on our side, down here in the southern, in San Diego. And there was 3 indictments that hit in 2014, took damn near 200 young black men off these streets at one time. It was a state indictment where they used the 182.5 case on the Lincoln Park boys. 33 of them go to jail. They had then the North Park scandalous black mob indictment. I knew majority of them cats. Once upon a time were my rivals. I knew them for being at my age, that were part of the game like I was, but I wasn't in their day-to-day activity. I don't know what they did or doing or involved in. A couple of them, but they weren't involved in pimping, but they took them. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, damn, they got caught up. Not that it was no unjust cause, like they got caught up. Then they merged over to my little homies and came with this tycoon fantasy indictment and took my little homies that I had just started off in this helping that were doing good work. I didn't know none of them to be involved in pimping. It couldn't even get a girl to come to the barbecues. I used to get mad at them, like, dang, it's all dudes here? Like, y'all, what's up? What happened to the player stuff? Like, okay, and it was a thing. Like, these dudes are not pimping. They're not involved in trafficking. When that happened, I got jolted into the courtroom. Like, this ain't right. And that's when this whole trafficking word came up.
Right.
It's a setup. You look at them indictments, they took homies Jordans. They living on couches. They ain't no pimps. It might have been in these RICOs and these indictments, they get one person out the group that may be involved and they wrap you all up.
Right, based on the conversation you may have had with him.
Riding in the car with the homie when he took his girl somewhere, or you in there too. You check the whole, like little stuff you did with your friend, not knowing you about to catch that same charge.
Yeah.
Conspiracy, RICO.
That conspiracy was something, man.
Bro,
like,
they were killing us.
They leveraged that.
Leveraged that. Still. So that's what jolted me. And now I'm talking about trafficking because nobody else was from this standpoint. Like, hold up. This ain't right. Okay. And then Bishop Bowser, he actually invited me to my first speaking engagement at UCSD because he didn't understand that portion, the pimping part of that. And I did. And I spoke on a panel. And there was a brand new deputy DA in the audience. And after it was over, she just like came up to me like, I've been involved in this trafficking stuff for a few years. I've never heard what you had to say. And it's right. When you hear it, you're like, damn, yeah. But if you don't ever hear that perspective, you don't know that. And me and her became friends. And she's like, you need to teach other people this. And she wrote what chapters, what would people want to know about, and helped me write this book. Like, I've wrote a book before, but it was on just.
So before Raising Pimp City, you wrote a book before.
It was a little novelty book called Big Romance, Little Finance, 300 tips you could do for your mate on a budget. And I wrote it when I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was in the office with a business and pimping. It's after, and while my girl was doing her thing, I was writing this book at like 2 a.m. Never thought to put it out. It was just, I get ideas, I like to see it come to life. And so I ended up putting that one out first because I wanted to test the process, but that one came out first. And then Raising Pimp City took about 3 years to really, really get it down. And I'm about to come with a new version of that, updated, called Raised. And with a documentary coming out with that, we brought probably like 16, 17 hours worth of footage right now on that one. And at first, it was going to be a Raised in Pimp City documentary. But the more I've grown through this, I'm like, these things is bigger than just the pimping. It's the drugs, it's the everything, gangbang. So I'm going to tell through telling the stories of my best friends. 2017, out of that 8 best friends I told you about, my crew, there's 4 of us alive still. In 2017, I lost 2 more of my best friends back to back that year. And I lost my cousin. Within that year, I lost 2 of my best friends, and one of my younger cousins in Sacramento got shot at. And so I'm going to be using this documentary to tell those 4 stories. One died of fentanyl. First person I heard of died of fentanyl, William Wagg III. Kenny Macon was still stuck in the game. He got shot in the head by a girl pimp in Houston, Texas on the Blade in 2017. After working with me, the organization, all this shit, and he's like, Armand, he tell me this is my last run, bro, and I'm coming all the way with you. This is all I know how to do right now. I got no money. He was starving. He tried to get out, starving, bro, and I didn't have no bread for him. So he go on this mission and he don't come back. So 2017, I thought that was the roughest year of my life. Then 21 come around, right after COVID. I lost a loved one every single month of the year, sometimes multiple of that year. Every month, 7 mentees that worked up under me in my programs, close ones. 2 of my young homies killed 2 of my young homies that was all from the same section. 2 blood cousins murdered, Spring Valley, right by each other. So 21 was like, whoa, I thought 17 was bad. One of my mentees, 14-year-old kid, was on the run from his mom, on probation, on the run, avoiding my text messages. This is 21. This ain't that long ago. This 3 years ago. He 14. Sharp young man, my little homie. He called me 2:30 in the morning. I'm asleep. Wake up, FaceTiming. Bro, I love you, man. You're more than a mentor. You're like my father. You're like my brother. This 14-year-old kid telling me. I'm like, yeah, we vibe and we start talking. Hang up. He called me back. He's like, can I talk to you for a little bit longer? I said, yeah. So we're not talking about what he's gonna do when he come back. He can go back to probation, check in. He's like, yep, all this. You got a job for me? I'm like, yep, I got a job for you. Come on back, man. And he said, he made me promise before I got off the phone that I was gonna call his mom in the morning and tell her he loved her. Oh yeah, I got that. Morning come up, I'm on my way back, go to the office, call his mom en route, tell her I spoke to his son last night. He told me to tell you love you. She worked overnight, he couldn't get in contact with her. She called me back an hour later and said 3 hours after I had talked to him, he was found unresponsive. So he had died off a bad combination of 2 pills. And he knew he was dying when he called me. He had just told the lady that he was staying with, the cool mom, that he wanted to call his mom and his mentor, and he closed himself off and he died. Shit, so that fucked me up. 21, gone. So we're raised, the name changed. I'm like, I need to tell all of our story, how we were raised to be where we got. And I'm using the loss of these lives to tell the story of all these kids. So raised in Pimp City, that I didn't think about getting involved in anti-trafficking, and I didn't know what a trafficking was until they start attacking us for it. And I'm like, y'all ain't telling the whole story. This was a setup. Now look back at that movie, I say documentary Pimps Up, Hoes Down. You know, the biggest pimp in there we looked up to, he was really an agent for the feds. He locked up now telling a story. You look at the other OGs, you look at them now, listen to them now, they're all like, man, we was paid to do this. Meanwhile, they were making laws. While we were influencing you, they were making these laws coming right behind this shit. So, yeah, I don't condone pimping and prostitution at all. Pimp trafficking, I don't condone it. But I understand why it got like it got, why people got involved like they did. And there's different levels of, different types of trafficking. I'm talking about pimping and prostitution that come from poor kids in the hood that didn't see no other option for themselves, and they got involved in this thinking it was the lesser of the evils. They need help and resources. I don't want anybody to be involved in pimping and prostitution, ever. I understand, though, what led it to. And no 6-year-old, 7-year-old raises their hand in school and says, I want to be a pimp when I grow up. Nah, it's a lack of opportunities, resources, and misguidedness that led these kids into this path. So that's why what I'm on right now, prevention. How do I get this kid to never think that's an option for their life in the first place? Not lock them up and burn them once they go down the path. Did you help them did you warn them? Did you teach them when they was a kid? Did you supply other options, other avenues? Or you left them in the dark and then you get mad? You turn the lights out in here and get pitch black and I trip over this table. Is it really my fault I tripped or the motherfucker that turned the light out on me? So we blaming the person that tripped in the dark. Fuck that. Turn the light on. Show me other ways around the table.
Right.
And no one blaming the person who turned the damn light. We got a light turned out on us a long time ago. You know? Yeah, man.
So, before we transition, where can, people can find a copy of that, right? Like if they wanted to.
It's on Amazon. All my books are on Amazon. You look up Armand King, Raised in Pimp City. It's on there.
Gotcha.
You know.
The Walk With Me curriculum. I can assume all day, but I think it'll be even more of a blessing to us if you just express to us what was the catalyst that led you to walk into that project, And what are some of the obstacles you faced from the powers that be, you know what I'm saying, to keep that from, to discourage you, whether they were intended to discourage you or not, you know what I'm saying, like from creating it? Because we know like a certain curriculum has been circulating throughout these facilities for years. And that curriculum from when we were, you know, in these juvenile detention facilities to now is still, you know, seems to be the priority of what is supposed to be used to help these, you know, these youth transition. But if you don't mind, man, you know, sharing with us the process that, you know, you've embarked on when it comes to creating a curriculum that can be used to help transition individuals from their hope to transformation.
So the curriculum was birthed out of, I was in Houston, Texas, and I was out there as a guest. I did multiple events out there, and this particular one was for Crime Stoppers, private event. Educators from all over the South were in here, and we was about trafficking. And as usual, I'm probably 20, 30 events in of speaking at this point on trafficking, and I'm just tired of hearing the same exact rhetoric when it came to the boy, the man. Really the targeted black man was kill him or lock him up forever. And I'm like, I get it. I get why you say that. I know what the education you got on this and why you want to lock him up. I get it. But damn, like I just said, he was somebody's nephew, son, grandson, brother. At some point, this was a kid. Can we help him? We just wait until lock him up. In-school suspension, juvenile detention with nothing going on in the background. So here, put these videos on, created that. And then that's Choose Your Own Path storybook. The stories, I also have rap versions of the stories. So the curriculum is also put to rap music with an extended instrumental at the end so kids can write to it. You know, so there's art infused in this book. If I had to sum up the curriculum in one word, it's conversation. These books help the mentor, lived experience mentor, have these necessary conversations. Because even being from lived experience, I don't remember to talk about everything. Suicide, drug use. There's so much trauma, how to deal with your homie dying. I don't think of, but this helps you who already, whether you don't have it, but even if you do have this lived experience, it helps you get what you already have naturally in a coordinated way out there. And it helps you like, oh, let's have this conversation. You didn't think this, not that you didn't think it was important, but so much is going on, I didn't think to talk about that. Damn. I don't think to talk about everything, but it helps you cover all these topics. How to get money legally while you're a kid. So you don't have to go sell this sack, you know, these different things. You don't have to go pull this lick, this home invasion. You don't have to. You know what I mean? So these conversations are there. It's set up to you know, so you can, even a parent can have this in the household and who you know, do as I say, not as I do. Oh, I put a roof over your head. You're supposed to, no, here's so you can have these conversations. You know, legal consequences. I got defense attorneys in here telling you the legal consequences. Oftentimes, you don't know what you're getting into till you're in front of the judge. Oh shit, that's 25 years to life? I didn't know that. You know, so conspiracy, like no one's teaching the kids ahead of time. This does. So that's what I created, what I needed, and I took from the years of having these programs, because I just created programs based on that whole model. What would have helped us do that? Not what someone told me we should do. And so I took the best practices from all of these 10 years of several different programs, what worked, and I put it into a box. So I can't go help kids everywhere, but now this curriculum can, and I can help the mentor be a better mentor to deliver this. And currently, right now, we launched in October. We have a youth mentor group in Ontario, Canada, implementing the program. I got a brother in Michigan with he has a barber mentoring program inside the juvenile detention with the program. We got housed right here in one of the middle schools, charter school in San Diego. Hopefully San Diego probation picks it up. They contacted me on their own. La Mesa Spring Valley School District, they start this community school thing. They looking into it. You know what I mean? And boom, boom, boom. Headed to Pennsylvania in April. They want it for the groups, a funding group of the groups they fund want to do it. So Vegas next month, DC at the end of this month. So I created it, put it out there into the universe. Who just hit us up? Somewhere. Oh, my Missouri. And I really ain't even been focused on San Diego. I've been launching this because unfortunately your own city don't give you the respect. You can have all the game in the world and go back home, Oceanside, like, oh, that's just him.
That's what I mean about the pushback. You know what I'm saying? Like the pushback and the
Yeah.
like, just the like, you know, the not accepting it for the value that it actually, you know what I'm saying?
Right, but you gotta just ignore that,
Right, most
and keep
definitely.
pushing.
Yeah.
So, and you asked that pushback thing, and I think there's been roadblocks, but at this point, I don't see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All I see is green lights. It could be, believe me, I've withstood some hatred from close people, and it hurts. I can't lie. It ain't just block it out.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts. You know, can tear you up if you allowed it.
Right.
But once again, I thank you, God. And it's to this point now, I'm so connected to my dead homies. I can't say I'm more than other ones of my homies, but for whatever reason, the loss of my homies' lives, I live with so much. Mm-hmm. I changed my middle name. It's a combination of two of my dead homies' names, legally. That's how close. It's with me forever. That loss of life puts life in perspective for me. We die. We be murder. If you're not killing me or locking me up, fuck you gonna do to me?
Right.
Some words? Some hatred? I've been hated on my whole life. What? You ain't killing me? You mean I'm not gonna die? You ain't about to come dump on me. You ain't about to lock me up in a cage. Then fuck that. Let's go.
Right.
I ain't never lost a real friend. Like all my real friends is there. This community shit. You got this political shit. Them ain't your homies. You may get me some cool people and good, but I've let them hurt me. Be like, no, I ain't like, hold up, you ain't my friend.
Yeah.
You ain't never been to my house. What is your word, your post, your whatever gonna do to me? Are you killing me? My best friends are dead, homie. Like literally dead. I can't talk to Richard again. I can't talk to Lawrence again. I can't talk to Kenny again. I can't talk to William again. Martell, Greg, Jason. I can't talk to them again. Fuck you about to do to me. I'm about to go help the homies. Anybody who wants this, it's for you. And I'll help you administer it. You don't. It's okay. And God got me. And what's meant for me will be for me. There's nothing somebody could take from you unless God allows it to. And it wasn't for you.
Let's transition there, you know what I'm saying, on our way out. You know, what's your relationship like with God? From the beginning of this, man, you've highlighted the reality of how he's just been with you the whole way. And I know that there's unlimited stories and highlights that you can pinpoint and bring to the forefront about how he's just showed up. But, you know, if you don't mind me asking, you know what I'm saying, what's your relationship like and how much of him do you include in your daily, man, in your moment to moment, you know what I'm saying? If that's not too intimate or something for you to share.
I'm an open book, and especially when it comes to this, all credit due. Half the time, I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. I'll go give a speech, I'll go talk to the homies and stuff, and I'll be like, what did I say? Because it wasn't me. I'm a tool. I'm thankful all the gifts that I have, they were given to me. And it wasn't until I've known it, but until I was older, and I just reflect on my life. I'm like, oh, you did that. Oh, you guided me through that. You protected me. And you can really see the protection. I've been shielded my whole life. I've been molded. Like I said, I was allowed. God had me in the fire without getting burned. You see, you hear those parables in the Bible. Like, nah, I was in the fire, but I didn't I didn't get burnt or burnt me or let me feel it enough to where it strengthened me, but it never took me out and put people in my life, my entire life, from living in the well-off Pilgrim's as a kid, and then the flip, so I could see that, the prison, so I could see that, the loss of the homie, that way it felt, so I could feel that. Everything's been done. I don't know what's coming next, but I'm just along for the ride, and I understand 100% all credits due to God. And my relationship with him is I walk, ride with, like, I don't go to a church, nothing against church, and I will go and I feel like I belong to a church. I feel like I'm a street preacher, but he my homie, like my best friend. And I pray all through the day. I might not have a ritual and a routine, and if that's what people's connection is, please do it. When me and my daughter wake up in the morning, thank you, God, for another day. Thank you for our roof over our head. Thank you for our health. Thank you for our shoes. Thank you for my fingernails. All the stuff I didn't create. Thank you. If it, so I don't, there's times I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. So many times I didn't know how I was going to pay rent, but rent got paid. Mm-hmm. It's God. Yeah. I don't even worry anymore. I don't even worry about nothing. Like, I don't, like, if worry comes, like, but, God got it. And that God don't got it because I sit back with that Ice Cube. Dude say, just let me steal your watch, and would you, Jesus, give me another one. Mm-hmm. Like, you mean just going to wait here? I'll pray. Nah, you got to be a mover. So I know what I do and the movements I make, God got me.
Right.
And not because I'm going to sit here and wait for it. Nah, because I go for it. So I'm not worried, bro. God is fully in my life, in the work that I do. And the people I've helped influence and inspire and activate hundreds of people. Bro, I don't leave my living room. You know how many conferences I've done from out leaving my living room in other countries? Documented. And I'm from Southeast San Diego, Valley Grove, Spring Valley, Lemon Grove. I'm from right here. And got studies in Thailand. What? I don't do this. God is leading me, so I just go do it. Man, I'm following orders. I'm following orders, bro. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's obvious, bro. Like, just like I said, like my heart has pounded throughout this interview so many times, in relation to everything that you've shared. And I can sense and feel, what I'm saying, how Jesus has just had you, like he's just had you the whole way. And so, yeah, man, it's amazing. I'm blessed, what I'm saying, to have the opportunity to be able to sit with you and you share so much of who you are, what you are, where you've been, where you're at, where you're going. And I can only imagine how blessed, your significant other is, your wife, your daughter is, to have someone with, your miraculous reality to lead them and guide them. You know what I'm saying? From such a vantage point. And I kind of want to transition there to walk us out is, for you to have experienced everything that you've experienced. Well, for myself, the support of my wife and the reality of my 4 children, they anchor me in a way that, no one else in existence can, you know what I'm saying, outside of the Lord. But if you could just share with us, how much of an anchor, or if you have another way to term it or express it, your wife you know, is for you, especially after experiencing everything that you've experienced when it comes to, you know, your past and all that you shared to you now, you know, going into your home at the end of the day, or at the end of advocating for so many other individuals out in the community, how you actually enter your home, what you enter your home with, and how you collaborate with your spouse, and how she kind of helps you, you know what I'm saying, to navigate the tougher days.
So crazy. You asked this. Why she's my wife is because our relationship began there. And luckily I had gone through so much trauma, and I had already been working in the community before I met her. A lot of the years had already been done, and I was built up with trauma, more trauma than I already had. Because once you get in this work, you take on all your people's trauma. I'm an empath. All these mentees over the year, lost a life, back to jail, not doing what you think they should do and seeing their potential, but they do all that pain, ODing. So when me and her got together, she comes from a different world. And her mental, she was I nicknamed her my vacation. Because I was able to leave
That's
that
deep.
and go with her. We go chill, smoke a blunt, sit at the beach. And that part of me, I was able to park. Literally, her nickname was, "You're my vacation in a human being." And that's how our relationship, and really, for the first time in my life, always was attracted to her, but I was so disciplined in the work. I wasn't dating nobody. She was my friend. And I never did that before. And we were friends for a year plus before we ever went out on a more intimate date. So I allowed myself to not be sweating up, you know, all that, like I would have, because I always was attracted to her. But I didn't do that, and we became friends. It actually works.
Yeah,
I've
most
seen it in
definitely.
movies, but no, it really works.
Yeah.
You don't got to just go hop on everything and holler at everything. It worked. And it was peace that I had in her before my wife. So it was when the time came, and actually when we got married, it was maybe one of the most traumatic periods of my life. And it was right to do at the time. I'm 42 years old. I ain't never had no kid before. I didn't think I could for a minute. I had to go get checked out. Doc, what's up? Am I good? Yeah, you good. And once again, I'm like, oh, I'm good. What the fuck? I ain't had no kid. I've been active for decades. But I realized my own daddy issues, and had I had a kid, I know what I've been meaning and wanting to give to a kid. I had these hundreds of kids that I had to be dad to. Hundreds of adults I had to be dad to. It might have operated differently.
Right.
But at that moment, when I was blessed with my wife, blessed with my first child, it was when I was transitioned again from my boots ain't to the ground on that manner, still there. I can't, but not like I was. My whole life, from wake up to sleep, I'm in the trenches. Now more on a general role, creating this curriculum to get to other people so they can do the work worldwide. And so when that fully, and I knew it was time to transition. Wife, baby, with that woman, the right woman, all meant thank you God again. Mm-hmm. So as far as that keeps me away from, because even idle time and just even yourself, like I was not, I'm a CEO or I don't have that mentality. I'm still Armezi, bro. And at this point in life, I can't be loose. When you loose, you loose. When you ain't got that's your person. Now you out here, you at clubs, you doing this, you liable to fall. Some shit can happen. Somebody can get up under you. For this next level of life, I needed security. I needed someone I loved. I need a place to come home to and feel happy being there.
Yeah.
I want to go home right now.
Right. No, I feel you, man. I appreciate
My
you
wife
hanging
wants
out.
me home right now.
Right. 100%.
So yeah, man,
Yeah, man.
it's real. My bedtime is 7:30 p.m. I get up at 3 a.m. But I'm home and I'm good and I cook and I love my family so much, man. That one of the biggest blessings I've ever had in my life is what I have right now. And yeah, so
How old is your daughter?
15 months. She a year.
15 months. I
She a
don't think I
year.
heard you say that earlier. Okay, 15 months.
Yeah, she a year old.
Wow,
She
man.
just learned to walk not too long ago. She's saying words and stuff now, and she's sharp. And I'm giving it to her. I can't wait to see who she grow up to be. I can't wait. She already showing signs. I'm telling her, she get affirmations now. You're brilliant. Do whatever you want to do. Teaching her about God from the beginning. You know, we wake up praying in our way. Come on, wake up thankful. We made it. You gonna know this thing. I'll repeat this, man. It's stuck in my head. My best friend Mark Bell, he say, as a parent, you're not just teaching your kids on how to be a good person. You're actually teaching them too how to be good parents, because they're learning from you on how
100%.
you parent.
Yep.
And now how you parent, because a lot of us get our habits from how we were parented.
Right.
So if you
And it's baked in.
and it's baked in, and we don't even realize it. We adjust a little bit if we do, but some don't. We just repeat the same cycles. But you parent them to be better parents. We could stop the generations of messed up behaviors, bro.
Man, amen, man. Well, look, man, Mr. Armand King, I thank you so much. Between Paving Great Futures, which is how I was introduced to you, to everything before, and your upbringing and your origin, to before the Paving Great Futures, the original, PGF. It's like to where you're at now, man, advocating for, like social equity. It's like, it's empowering for someone like me, you know what I'm saying, to not only be able to sit with you and share space, but I get to take all of this home, you know what I'm saying, I get to edit this thing,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, I get to share with my wife the reality of, even more so what's possible. I got to remind myself every day of what's possible, you know what I'm saying, and I think it's an opportunity to sit down and get context like this that is not only gonna, obviously help me, but whoever, tunes in.
Whatever it is that makes you happy, do that. Not everybody's a mentor. Not everybody's even. And in the mentoring piece, say you want to help people. You don't have to run a big organization. You got one life. I just mentioned a bunch of dead homies. Life after life gone. And those are through murders and different things, but there's also been homies that died of heart attacks early. That one of my different reasons, Rest in peace, SL 500. I don't know how bro died of natural causes. Do what makes you happy, and block out the outside voices that are trying to control what you do with your life. You have one. You're lucky to have two good friends. You're lucky to, and the people you listen to, just put yourself in the position, if I was in a hospital bed dying, how many people would come sit by my bedside? Those are the people that you give the attention to. If you were locked up again, for those that have been locked up, how did those letters flow? How did that commissary flow? It's small. Quit worrying about the outside voices. Listen to the inside voices and take care of those that really, really matter to you. Spend your time there. What makes you happy? Go after.